Good morning. I hope you liked the story yesterday. That's me being prepared. Oh my gosh. What's in that? Oh, you probably can't see that, but I should probably. Here's a little hint for any boy and girl or adults in there. When you've been doing stuff for 3 days, probably check how old the tea is, because yeah, it's got mold in it. So at least it'll be healthier. So I hope you had a great sleep. I had a wonderful sleep. It's been a kind of a roller coaster of a couple of days, but I woke up a little bit off today, a little bit, anxious and feeling kind of busy in my brain, and my body's not keeping up, and people around me aren't keeping up, and they're not being able to read my thoughts and things. So I was getting a little bit cranky. So today we're going to read a book called Cranky Bear, because I have been a very cranky bear. I'm not very proud of it, but sometimes I get cranky. I don't know if you get cranky. Anybody getting cranky out there? Any kids have a little brother or a sister that's, oh, stop bothering me, I'm getting cranky. So here's what I do when I get cranky. I will take some time for myself. I give myself a bit of a timeout. I get myself away from some people if possible, and I just go sit down and I meditate a little bit, which means just sitting there, just and just letting all the yuckiness come out, and just let it all just wash out of you, and close your eyes and even have a little nap. Sometimes I'm cranky because I need a nap, or sometimes I'm cranky because I'm hungry. I'm usually hungry all the time. So that's what I do when I get cranky. So, yeah, that's me. I'm cranky today, a little bit. But I know I'm going to be happy after reading, because I've been looking forward to this since yesterday. So let's get on. Oh, today we're going to read another book called Enemy Pie. And I'll read this one first because I am not familiar with the book. So I know I'll stumble over my words, and we're all going to be okay with that, right? There's no making fun of me if I stumble over my words. And yeah. And some of the writing is on red, so Tazzy's eyes don't always pick up things. I'm colorblind, which means it doesn't mean I can't see any colors, but sometimes red and green is very hard for me to see, especially if they're mixed together. So I know that Caspian and Allie and Starla and Ella from North Battleford are watching, and a lot of people have come in, sent me messages and saying, "Hey, say hi to some people." So I know Kira has asked me to find a book called Class Clown, and I'm going to look for that. And Debbie Jones, I'm supposed to say hi to you, of course. Brooklyn Brindley and Little Miss Trinity, that rhymed. Brooklyn Brindley, Little Miss Trinity, and Cade Clifton and Lexa. So I'll say hi to those, because you know what'll happen if I forget. I'll forget if I don't do it right now. And I know that my buddy Ferris from all the way in Toronto, is listening to me too. And his dad, Matt, is an amazing magician. Here, I'll do magic. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ta-da! Okay, you ready? 1, 2. Ta-da! I'm not very good at that. So he's an amazing magician, and he's a good buddy as well. Declan, hi to you too. I can see that you're saying hi to me on the things. Perfect. And I have a little sticky note here to say hi to Bennett and Danica. Danica's, I don't know if she's my niece or what. I think she's my niece, right? I think Danica, I don't know. Danica and Bennett, they're my niece and nephew. Wes, Devin, and Lily. I feel bad because, it's, Danica's just so cool. This is what she says to me sometimes. This is how she talks to me. She goes, "That's awesome." That's the way that works. Okay, so Enemy Pie. How about we read that? Enemy Pie. Enemy Pie. Oh, and we put a safety thing on so that germs don't get to the book itself. Enemy Pie. And I got to put these on because I got something wrong with my eyes called I'm very old. Watch this. Ready? If I put these on, there. The book looks closer. Look. Oh. I just got to take care of that. The book looks, so much closer. Oh, man. I'm not even sure these are my eyes. Oh, okay. Okay, just calm down. I don't need you that close. Hop. Back up a little bit. Got it? Okay. Oh, now look what happened. Look at this. Okay, so I just turn my nose and it goes like that. Because if you turn it this way, it's harder to see. So you just turn your nose like that. Oh, Raven and Kim are watching from Saskatoon, I'm thinking. Enemy Pie. I love the pictures in this book as well. And this book is by Derek Munson and Tara Callahan King. Wow, I've never had a king before. There we go. Here we go. This is me reading. It should have been a perfect summer. My dad helped me build a tree house in our backyard. My sister was at camp for 3 whole weeks, and I was on the best baseball team in town. It should have been a perfect summer, but it wasn't. My buddy Tommy is watching from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. That's far away. It was all good until Jeremy Ross moved into the neighborhood, right next door to my friend Stanley. He was my best friend. I did not like Jeremy Ross. He laughed at me, and then when he struck me out at the baseball game, he had a party on his trampoline, and I wasn't even invited. My best friend Stanley was. Jeremy Ross was the one and only person on my enemy list. I never even had an enemy list until he moved into the neighborhood. But as soon as he came along, I needed one. I hung it up in my treehouse where Jeremy Ross was not allowed to go. I realized I didn't show you this picture, I don't think. There we go. And this is him with the enemy list. I'm getting confused because I'm backwards. Dad understood stuff like enemies. He told me that when he was my age, he had enemies too. But he knew of a way to get rid of them. I asked him to tell me how. "Oh, tell you how?" He says. "I'll show you," he says. And he pulled out a really old recipe book off the kitchen shelf. Inside, there was a worn-out scrap of paper with faded writing. Dad held it up and squinted at it. Enemy pie, he said, satisfied. Enemy pie? What's going to be in it? You may be wondering what exactly is in enemy pie. I just asked that. I was wondering too. But Dad said the recipe was so secret he couldn't even tell me. He decided not to tell me, and I decided it must be magic. I begged him to tell me something, anything. "Well, I'll tell you this," he said. "Enemy pie is the fastest known way to get rid of enemies." Now, of course, this got my mind working. What kind of things, disgusting things, would I put into an enemy pie? I brought Dad some weeds from the garden, but he just shook his head. I brought him earthworms and rocks, but he didn't think he needed those. I gave him some gum that I'd been chewing all morning, and he gave it back to me. I went out to play alone. I shot baskets until the ball got stuck on the roof. I threw a boomerang that never came back to me. I think that's just called a stick. If you throw a boomerang and it doesn't come back to you, it's a stick. And all the while, I listened to the sounds of my dad chopping and stirring and blending the ingredients of enemy pie. This would be a great summer after all. Enemy pie is going to be awful. I tried to imagine how horrible it must smell, or worse yet, what it would look like. But when I was in the backyard looking for ladybugs, I smelled something really, really good. As far as I could tell, it was coming from our kitchen. I was a bit confused. "Hey, You know what I want you to do right now? Think of enemy pie. Think of what an enemy pie could be. All the stuff in it. And now give me a good, like, maniacal, a maniacal laugh means something kind of. And then that's a kind of laugh you got to go. Would you like some enemy pie? What's in it? Delicious stuff. Try it. It's good for you. So you try that kind of laugh. Chelsea and Deloraine, give that a shot. Little Timmy Steves, give it a cry. Now, if you had your window open and people were walking by and heard that, chances are they're not coming to your house. I went in to ask my dad what was wrong. Enemy pie shouldn't smell this good. But Dad was smart. He said, well, if enemy pie had smelled bad, your enemy would never eat it, he said. I could tell he had made enemy pie before. The buzzer rang, and my dad put on the oven mitts, pulled the pie out of the oven. It looked like a plain old pie. It looked good enough to eat. I was catching on. But still, I wasn't really sure how this enemy pie worked. What exactly did it do to enemies? Maybe it made their hair fall out. Hang on. Maybe I've had some enemy pie. Or their breath stinky. Maybe I've had some enemy pie. But maybe it made bullies cry. I asked Dad, but he was no help. He wouldn't tell me a thing. But while the pie cooled, he filled me in on my job. I wonder what his job is. He talked quietly. There's one part of enemy pie that I can't do. In order for it to work, you need to spend the day with your enemy. Even worse, you have to be nice to him. It's not easy, but I'll tell you, it's the only way that enemy pie can work. Now, are you sure you want to go through with this? Of course I was. It sounded horrible. It was scary, but it was worth a try. All I had to do was spend one day with Jeremy Ross. Then he'd be out of my hair for the rest of my life. I rode my bike to his house and I knocked on the door. When Jeremy opened the door, he seemed surprised. He stood on the other side of the screen door and looked at me, waiting for me to say something. I was nervous. Can you play? I asked. He looked confused. I'll ask my mom, he said, and he came back with his shoes in his hand. His mom walked around the corner to say hello. You boys stay out of trouble, she said, smiling. Ooh, I'm super curious what's going to happen. It was strange, but it was... Oh, I missed a whole page on this side. I'll read that too. We rode bikes for a while and played on the trampoline. Then we made some water balloons and threw them at the neighbor girl, but we missed. Then Jeremy's mom made us lunch, and after lunch, we all went over to my house. It was strange, but I was kind of having fun with my enemy. He almost seemed nice. But of course, I couldn't tell Dad that, since he had worked so hard to make this enemy pie. Enemy pie. Jeremy Ross like my basketball hoop. He said he wished he had a basketball hoop, but they didn't have room for one. I let him win a game, you know, just to be nice. I lose a lot of stuff to people just to be nice. Aw. Jeremy Ross knew how to throw a boomerang. He threw it and it came right back to him. I threw it and it went over my house and into the backyard. When we climbed over the fence to find it, the first thing Jeremy noticed was my treehouse. Uh-oh, the treehouse? Do you remember what he had put on there? Oh man, he put up a notice saying no Jeremy Ross's. My treehouse was my treehouse. It was I was the boss. If my sister wanted in, I didn't have to let her. If my dad wanted in, I didn't have to let him. Okay, so I don't believe that part. If your dad wants in, he's coming in. If your mom wants in, she's coming in. So we'll give him that one, right? And if Jeremy wanted in, Jeremy wanted in. Can we go in? He asked. Oh, I knew he was going to ask me that. But he was at the top person, the only person on my enemy list. And enemies were not allowed in my treehouse. But he did teach me to throw a boomerang. And he did have me over for lunch. And he did let me play on his trampoline. He wasn't being a very good enemy. He's not very good at this. Okay, I said, just hold on. I climbed up ahead of him and tore my enemy list off the wall. I had a checkerboard and some cards in the treehouse, and we played games until my dad called us down for dinner. We pretended we didn't hear him, and when he came to get us, we tried to hide from him, but somehow he found us. I do that sometimes. People will be like, Taz, Taz, and I'm like, I don't hear nothing, hear something, I don't hear nothing. But my mom and dad used to call me. For supper time, I was there. I was like, meow, beep, beep, meow, right for supper because I love supper. But when it was time for chores, sometimes I pretended I couldn't hear nothing. I was like, I don't hear nothing. Anybody hear something? I don't hear something. I'd be like, John, come and help me mow the lawn. Oh, I don't know what's going on there. It's pretty cool. Treehouse? Huh. I didn't have a treehouse growing up. I grew up in Saskatchewan. Not a lot of trees. My part. Dad made us macaroni and cheese for dinner. Okay, I love macaroni and cheese. It's one of my favorite things. It always, whenever we have it, it reminds me of being a kid. And I love macaroni and cheese. Who else likes macaroni and cheese? What other things can you put inside macaroni and cheese? So you put macaroni and cheese. I like putting extra cheese in there. For sure, extra cheese. What? Hot dogs is really good. Cut up ham. Tuna. Ugh. I guess it'd be like a tuna casserole, I suppose. Hey, bacon. Bacon would be awesome. Who said bacon? Good job. Bacon goes good with everything. You know what I like with my bacon? More bacon. So Dad made us macaroni and cheese for dinner. My favorite. It was Jeremy's favorite too. Maybe Jeremy Ross wasn't so bad after all. I was beginning to think maybe we should forget about enemy pie. Oh no. But sure enough, after dinner, Dad brought out the pie. I watched as he cut the pie into 8 thick slices. 8? What a rookie. You just go like this, and there's 2 pieces of pie. Dad, I said, it was sure nice having a new friend in the neighborhood, right? New friend in the neighborhood. I was trying to get his attention and trying to tell him that Jeremy Ross was no longer my enemy. But Dad only smiled and nodded. I think he thought I was just pretending. Dad dished up 3 plates, side by side, with big pieces of pie and giant scoops of ice cream. He passed one to me, and he passed one to Jeremy. Wow, Jeremy said, looking at the pie. My dad never makes pies like this. And it was at this point that I panicked. I didn't want Jeremy to eat the enemy pie. He was my friend. I couldn't let him eat it. Jeremy, don't eat it. It's bad pie. I think it's poisonous or something. Jeremy's fork stopped before reaching his mouth. He crumpled his eyebrows and looked at me funny. Oh, I felt relieved. I had saved his life. I was a hero. If it's so bad, Jeremy asked, then why is your dad already eaten half of it? I turned to look at my dad, and sure enough, he was eating enemy pie. Good stuff, he said through a mouthful. And that was all he said. I sat there, watching him eat enemy pie for a few seconds. Dad was laughing, and Jeremy was happily eating, and neither of them was losing any hair. It seemed safe enough, so I took a tiny taste. Enemy pie was delicious. After dessert, Jeremy rode his bike home, but not before inviting me over to play on his trampoline in the morning. He said he'd teach me how to flip. And as for enemy pie, I still don't know how to make it. I still wonder if enemies really do hate it, or if their hair falls out, or their breath turns bad. But I don't know if I'll ever get that answer, because I just lost my best enemy. The end. Have you ever had somebody that, like Jeremy in your life, who came along and people paid more attention to them than to yourself? And you thought, well, that person's not going to be my friend because my friends are paying attention to them, or they're a little bit better at sports than I am, or something like that. But you know what? When I was little, I had a friend named Dean in school, and I came in and I was the funny guy in school. I was the class clown and spent a lot of time in the hallway. Not going to lie to you, but I came along and Dean was a jokester. One day, here's this guy sitting right next to me, redhead fella, and I made a joke and he made a funnier joke, so now everybody was paying attention to them, and I thought, oh man, who's this cat, right? Well, I got intimidated. I felt like he was taking over my spot, and I didn't like it very much. I was rude and mean to him and stuff. And then one day we had to partner up in school for a project, and he whispered in my ear, he goes, "You're so funny. I hope I can be as funny as you. You're so funny." And I thought, well, if he thinks I'm funny and I think he's funnier, and we hung out more and more, and it turned out he's a really nice guy, and we were friends for a long time, and then he moved away, and then I was the funniest guy in the class again. So I don't know what the lesson is here, but accept everybody for who they are. Give them a chance. Don't um, don't be rude to somebody just because you think they're different than you or that they're trying to take your place. If you're new in a new school, have you ever been new in a new school or a new situation? You get sort of scared and you don't know if you have any friends. So you never know who's going to be your friend. I'm your friend, and I like to be the funniest person in this computer right now. Anyway, so I mentioned earlier today, I woke up and I was cranky. I don't know if it was lack of sleep or if I needed to wake up sometime and have some food or whatever it was, but I was just cranky and I was rude to my wife, Christy, and I was rude to Kyler because I was, my mind was all over the place and I was saying things and they were like, oh, well, you didn't say that. And I said, well, I thought it, and then I thought, oh, they can't read my mind. And it's okay to get grumpy. Remember what we say? It's okay to get mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay not to like the people around you, but you'll always have to be kind. Always be kind. And I wasn't being kind at all today. I was being grumpy bear. And I'm not very proud of that, but I'm telling you that because even as you get older, sometimes you'll still be grumpy. And you just have to say sorry. And I said sorry to everybody, and I came down and I said, you know what, maybe I didn't have enough sleep, and maybe I need something to eat, maybe some macaroni and cheese. Somebody wrote they put broccoli in their macaroni and cheese. That would be great, because then you get macaroni and cheese and farts. That's the best part. Broccoli, broccoli, broccoli's the fart trees of the world. Da 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 do. They are the beans. A lot of people don't know this. They are the beans of the vegetable world. You can look that up and you'll find out that is not true at all. So I'm going to read a book I haven't read before. I sort of glanced at it. It's called The Very Cranky Bear. And our friends at McNally Robinson here in Winnipeg, and Corrine had phoned them and said, hey, Tazzy is reading the students. So you know what they did? McNally Robinson said, come to the store and we'll give you a few books to read. So I really appreciate that, because I've got quite a few books to read, but it's nice to have other ones. And so that's kind of cool too. I appreciate it very much. So it's called The Very Cranky Bear. And I'm thirsty, so I'm going to not drink that. I will have this. Oh, I got to work out. Dusty water that's been there 2 days. And then I'll do this, because I'm a gentleman. The Very Cranky Bear by Nick Bland. In the jingle jangle jungle, on a cold and rainy day, our four little friends found a perfect place to play. Moose had marvelous antlers, and Lion a golden mane. Zebra had fantastic stripes, and Sheep, well, Sheep was plain. There they are with a, and there. Look at Sheep here. Sheep right there. He just looks like he doesn't fit in. I think this is awesome here. Wouldn't that be great? That's how dogs clean this up. They go, they get all the water off. I do that and I get a migraine. None of them had noticed that someone else was there. Sleeping in that cave was a very cranky. So they're playing some cards, and sleeping in that cave was a very cranky bear. Roar, went Cranky Bear. Roar, roar, roar. He gnashed his teeth and stomped his feet and chased them out the door. So in the jingle jangle jungle, on a cold and rainy day, four little friends had nowhere warm to play. That bear does not look happy. He chased them. If I was a bear and I woke up and I saw a lion and a moose and a zebra and a sheep playing cards, I'd be like, roar. Oh, what are you guys doing here? Wait a minute, said Zebra, as she scratched her furry chin. I guess I should have given her, I should have found out she was a girl before I gave her that voice. Hey, how about this? Wait a minute, said Zebra. She scratched her furry chin. Maybe if we cheered him up, he'd let us come back in. If I did not have my stripes, she said, I'd be cranky too. Would you give the bear some? We should give the bear some stripes. That's what we should do. Stripes are silly, Moose complained, especially on a bear. My antlers always cheer me up. Let's give the bear a pair. There, just in case you didn't see the other one. No, 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 said the lion. Antlers are a bore. A golden mane like mine, he said, would cheer him up for sure. It's got some Fabio hair going on there. So Zebra fetched a tin of mud. And Lion some grass of gold. Moose got 2 big branches, and sheep just got cold. Look at sheep. Whoop, right there. Sitting all out because, you know what? They kept telling her that sheep was playing. Sheep was getting worried. They've been eaten up for sure. And then from the cave came a very cranky roar. Do a roar with me. What's a bear roar? A very cranky roar. Bear. Look for the bear necessity. Roar. Run, run, run. Zebra, Lion, and Moose ran out, and Bear was right behind them. They hid behind the bushes, where they hoped he wouldn't find them. Why is he so cranky? He's got antlers, stripes, and a mane. Before we gave him those, Lion said, he looked so very plain. I think it's hilarious. I don't think I'd be scared of a bear. Comes up like this and goes, "Hey, what are you doing? Nice to see you guys." And yeah, okay, roar. I'm a scary bear. I'd be like, "You're not a scary bear. You look like a bumblebee with a beard and some antlers." As Bear stormed back into the cave, he turned and roared at Sheep. "All I really want," he says, "is a quiet place to sleep." That's kind of what I wanted today too, is a little extra sleep. So Sheep fetched a pair of clippers and clipped off half her wool. She stuffed them in a cotton bag until the bag was full. She tiptoed back inside the cave. Excuse me, Mr. Bear, she said. Would you like a pillow for underneath your head? Well, thank you very much, said Bear, and he soon fell asleep. Maybe he was dreaming of a plain but thoughtful sheep. You know what? The, the sheep thought that she was very plain and didn't get the same attention as the lion with his golden locks and the moose with my big antlers and the zebra with my stripes, right? But she was very thoughtful. And I think that's more important. You know, people look sometimes about what they see on the outside and they never look on the inside. Sometimes you'll see somebody grumpy, and sometimes you'll see somebody that's different than you, and you say, oh, that person is this or that person is that. And it's not. It's what's inside that makes you very special, your heart. And if you're compassionate, which means that you give away love freely and you're helpful and things like that. It's so very, very important to remember that. Get to know the people before you make any kind of a judgment. You know, sometimes people see me and they see me as this big, silly, goofy guy, maybe chubby and that, and they don't think I'm very serious, but I'm a very serious cat, right? I have my very serious moments like today. If my wife Christy and Kyler, my son, if they just saw me as a grumpy, grumpy bear, and they didn't know what I was like inside, they'd be thinking I was grumpy and mad all the time. But I'm not. Sometimes I get grumpy and cranky because I get nervous, because I'm very nervous to read to you, and I'm very nervous to do this podcast or whatever this is called. See, I don't even know if it's called a podcast because I'm very old, but I get nervous to do this, and sometimes my nerves override my heart, and that's all I can think about is how nervous I am. Or if I get grumpy, and then all I can think about is how grumpy I am, and then afterwards, all I can think about is how sorry I was that I was grumpy. So what I try to do, and it almost always works, but sometimes it doesn't, but try this. When, pardon me, when you start feeling grumpy, sort of close your eyes and go, okay, if I'm grumpy to this people, how is it going to be in the end? Because you're going to have to apologize. So what I do is I think, do I want to have fun or do I want to have to apologize? I'd rather have fun. And I've had lots of fun today with all my friends, and Cade and Clifton, Lexa and Brielle, Sydney and Surrey from Saskatoon, Jordan and Lucas and Lux, and all the folks that are watching. I thank you so much, because you know what? In my world, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you. So I'll read another story tonight at around 7:30, and have yourself a great day. Get some exercise, be helpful, be safe, be silly, be brave, and most importantly, be kind. Lots of love. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.